Yesterday we talked about the surface area and lateral area of pyramids and cones. Today we're going to talk about volume. Yesterday we talked about wrapping them up. Today we're going to talk about filling them up and what it takes. The formula for a pyramid, remember you can always tell a pyramid because it has a point and then a polygon base. So the volume is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. And the height, this time is not the slant height, it's the straight up and down height, right through the middle. Okay, so anytime you see it, you're a pyramid, your volume, you say, okay, I want 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Go ahead and set up your equation, 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Set it up so that all you have to do is substitute in your numbers. Now notice that your base, remember that your base is always there underneath your apex. You have to decide what shape it is so that you can go with my base. The base is a rectangle, and the area of a rectangle is base times height. So ignore, right? Just use. So the area of your rectangle is base times height, or 21 times 9. 21 times 9 is 189. So the area of my base is 189, and then I want the height of the pyramid. That's the important part. That's the height that you use when you're talking about the pyramid. I want the volume of the pyramid. I have to use the height of the pyramid. Height of the pyramid is 5. So you would take 189 times 5 and then divide by 3. That's the easiest way to handle the 1/3, although you can do 1 divided by 3 times 189 times 5. But it's easiest to think about 1/3 means the same as dividing by, multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. So the volume here is 315 cubic yards, yards cubed. We're filling it up, yards times yards times yards. Okay, this is a volume of a pyramid. We know that means 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So I have 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Well, the height's easy. It's right there, 9.1. That's my height. So I can go ahead and fill that in. And then I need the area of the base. And you recognize what the base is. The base is a pentagon. If you find that on your formula chart, that is 1/2 AP. So the area of my base is 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter of the base. 1/2 the apothem is 5.5. That's your A. It goes from the center to the side perpendicularly. So perimeter. Well, the perimeter is 10. It's the side length, and there are 5 of them. So it's 10.6 times 5 sides. That's the perimeter of the base. So we're still finding the area. So 53 times 5.5 divided by 2, area of the base. We're still finding the area, 145.75. That's the area of the base, 145.75. Now we want the volume. Take that area, multiply it by the height, and divide by 3. You have 442.1 feet cubed. You can also say CF for cubic feet. Okay, that is volume. Okay, same thing here. It's a pyramid. We recognize it's a pyramid because of the point. 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So 1/3 the base. Here's the area of the base. Right? You can find that the area of the base, the area of that square is 400. Well, now we run into a problem because I need H, but I have L. So here's what you have to do. I need H. Draw that in. Right? Well, we talked about this the other day. Notice if I connect those, you see this right triangle right here? Okay, I've got that right triangle right there. Well, this is the apothem, which is half of 20. So that's 10. Now I've got a nice little right triangle that I can use to find the height. I need H. I have L. I have the length of the base. I have the side length. I need that height. Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to come over here. We're going to say H squared plus 10 squared is equal to 26 squared, because that's your C, that's your hypotenuse. Pythagorean theorem, the square root of 26 squared minus 10 squared because they're on opposite sides of the equal sign, so you subtract them, and you get 24. So H is 24. This is a 5, 12, 13 multiple triple, so you could shortcut it that way too. You have a height of 24. Now you can do your volume, 400 times 24 divided by 3. You get 3,200 is your volume. And that would be 3,200 cubic units, whatever that is. Okay. Last one, a rectangular pyramid. So we know what it looks like. It looks kind of like number 1. Has a volume of 525. It has a base that's 25 by 18. So this is the base, 25 by 18. Find the height of the pyramid. So here's one way you can draw it. You've got 25, you've got 18, and you know you have an apex. And you can draw those in. Find the height of the pyramid. If you write your formula, right, then you can find this out. Volume is equal to 1/3 the area of the base times the height. I know the volume is 525. That's 1/3 the area of the base. Well, the base is 25 times 18. 25 times 8 is 450. So 450 H. Do the math you can do right there. You've got 1/3 times 450. Go ahead and do that. 450 divided by 3 is 150. 525 is equal to 150 H. 150 times H. The inverse of multiplication is division. So divide both sides by 150. 525 divided by 150. And you get that the height must be 3.5. And that would be 3.5 feet. Okay, so the volume of a pyramid, remember a pyramid has a point, okay, 1/3 the area of the base times the height, and the height is the straight up and down height, not the slant height, not L. They're two different letters. They do two different things. Cone, okay, another, we can tell it's a cone versus a cylinder because it has a point, it has an apex. Again, the height is your vertical straight up and down, not your slant height. The volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared times h. So basically, it's 1/3 of a cylinder. That's what's happening. It would take 3 cones to fill up one cylinder with the same radius and the same height. Volume of the cone, we need volume. So first thing you want to do, always write down that it's a volume, it's a cone, so that's 1/3 pi r squared h. 1/3 pi r. I have r, it's 3. Squared, h. H is 4. Okay, if you just go ahead and multiply it, 1/3 pi r squared h. Right? See, you can just type it all in just like that. Okay, you don't have to worry about creating that as a fraction. 1 divided by 3 is a fraction. And you get 37.7 meters cubed of volume. Okay? Find the volume of the cone here. Volume of a cone, 1/3 pi r squared h. That's what volume is. Okay, so we have 1/3 pi. Now we run into a problem. We don't have radius. But the radius is right here. It's connected to this right triangle where I can do Pythagorean theorem. R squared plus 12 squared is equal to 13 squared. You can see how important the Pythagorean theorem is. So the square root of 13 squared minus 12 squared gives you a radius of 5. If you need to do it in pieces, do 13 squared minus 12 squared, you get 25. Then you have to remember to take the square root of that. So we take the square root of 25 and we get 5. So the radius is 5. Now we have enough, so 5 squared times the height. We want the vertical height, right? Not the slant height. We want h, not L. So we use 12. 1/3 pi r squared times h. Type that in on your calculator. You get 314.2 meters cubed. Okay, last one. Find the radius of the cone. So we already know we're going to work an equation backwards. Find the radius of a cone. if it has a volume of 1,309 centimeters cubed and a height of 8. Height. All right, so let's look and see what we've got. First thing, the volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. Substitute in everything you know. Volume was 1309 equals 1/3, just keep bringing everything down, pi stays the same, r squared, that's what we're trying to find, r squared h. H is 8. Now look, all this math over here, we've got 1/3 times pi times 8. Let's go ahead and do all of that math. Okay, so we've got 1/3 times pi times 8. And you get that long decimal, 1309, and then we've got 8 equals 8.37758. We're going to keep our decimals as long as we can. Never round until the end. Okay, now we need to divide by that number, 8.4. I just don't want to write it all. So we're going to take 1309 and we're going to divide by the number that we just got. Let's not type 2. Hit enter. And you get 156.3 is r squared. But I don't want to know what r squared is. I want to know what r is. And remember that the only way the inverse of squaring something is by taking the square root. So we take the square root of it. So I'm going to take the square root of the previous answer. And you get 12.5. So the radius of that cone is 12.5 centimeters. Okay, all goes back to the formulas. Pay attention to what shape you're using. Go get the formula, write it down, and then if you're missing a piece, go find the piece and then come back. Like you have to go to the store, get the ingredients, come back and make the cake. That's the same thing. Sometimes you have to go and get the pieces so that you can finish off